All right, here's your Vocab Lesson 17 video. Again, write down each word, what part of speech it is, the definition, and then any of the examples that I provide. Uh, Vocab quiz will be on Friday, and here we go. All right, our first word is juncture. This is a noun. Definition is a point where things are joined, a crossing, or a point in time. So one example, obviously, is our two roads coming together, crossing each other. So that's where two things are joined. And then also think of a hip joint. Two bones put together, a knee joint, anything like that. Think of things where two things are joined together. Next word is lament. This is a noun. The definition is a passionate expression of grief or sorrow, a song or poem expressing sorrow. And so here's a picture of a person who is obviously lamenting something, obviously something very sorrowful, expressing grief, things like that, personal tragedies. People lament over those things. A song that comes to mind is Sam Smith's I'm Not the Only One. The song is about a woman who knows that her husband is cheating on her, and so it's a song or poem expressing sorrow. So that's lament. Lapse is our next word. It's part of speech. It's a noun. Definition: a slight or temporary slip or error, a fall from a better or worse condition. So think of when you make a poor decision or judgment, sometimes they say it was a lapse in judgment. So an example of that would be going out onto thin ice. We see it happen every year. Unfortunately, a vehicle or something falls through the ice or whatever. It's a lapse in judgment. Someone, you think it's strong enough to hold you, it doesn't. So, and there's all kinds of examples of lapse in judgment. Should I have gone into that convenience store and taken that candy bar? Shoplifting is a lapse in judgment. It's poor judgment. So, it's an error, a slight temporary slip. Next word is latitude. This is a noun, and this means scope for freedom of action or thought. So this one was a tough one, but think of this is a picture of the White House press room, and so all these journalists that are sitting down are asking the president or whoever's up there talking. They're going to ask him questions. So journalists have a scope of freedom. They have latitude in questions they ask. They have latitude in the things that they write. So they have a freedom of action or thought. Obviously our First Amendment rights. Journalists are protected by our First Amendment rights, of course within reason. So they have latitude to do what they do. So that's the word latitude. Legacy is a noun. This means something that's inherited, money or property left by a will. So for example, let's say your great grandma's wedding ring is going to be passed down to a granddaughter someday. This is a legacy. That's something that's inherited that you want to keep in the family. A will, wills, when someone passes away and they have a will, it kind of spells out and explains how they want their money, how they want their property and the things that they own, how they want that to be given out to remaining family members, or how they want it to be sold, or whatever it is. But a lot of those things, the important things like jewelry, a lot of times, like with my grandpa, it was when he passed away, I got his first shotgun. So it's kind of I inherited that, but it's kind of a legacy because it has some important meaning to it. Lexicon is the next word. This is a noun. The definition for lexicon is the vocabulary of a particular trade or a group of people. So think of computer programmers. They talk in very specific terms and phrases and words. Their lexicon or vocabulary for their trade or their job is towards computer programming. It's stuff that many of us don't even understand. Another example of this would be coaches. And there's some famous college football coaches. The words and phrases and things that football coaches use for plays and defenses and different things like that is really weird, but it's a lexicon of that group of people. And you could use a lot of different coaches. A lot of different sports have their own vocabulary. So that's lexicon. Next word is livid. Part of speech is an adjective. Definition: furiously angry, purplish or bluish from a bruise. So obviously this guy is livid. He is really angry. How you use that in a sentence is, the mom was livid when the little boy knocked over the vase and broke it. So they get really angry. Here's a bad bruise, and I'm sure we've all had bruises before. Bad bruise where it gets all purple and blue and dark and things like that. So that's an example of livid. Loathe. Next word. This is a verb. Definition is to feel intense dislike or disgust, to detest. Here is a kid who obviously loathes. It looks like peas are on his plate. But a lot of times kids don't like vegetables. They loathe them. Growing up, I hated squash. I loathed that stuff. Now it's okay. I can handle it. Cauliflower, the same thing. I hated cauliflower. Now, made correctly, I can stomach it. But when I was a kid, I loathed some vegetables. Next word is malignant. This is an adjective. Definition is actively evil, tending to do great harm. So one person that comes to mind is Kim Jong-un, the North Korean dictator. Actively evil. He does a lot of nasty things to the people that live there. It's a dictatorship. The people they don't live in very good conditions. If he had his way, he would definitely tend to do great harm to the United States and other Western civilized countries. Another example of this, tending to do harm would be a suicide bomber. Obviously, they're strapped up with a bomb. They tend to do harm, to do great harm to someone. They are malignant. And the last word is malleable. This is an adjective. The definition is having the capacity to be changed easily, capable of being shaped by hammering or pressing. So think of metal or tin, stuff that is able to be shaped and moved around, again, by hammering or pressing or other tools. There are a number of metals that are malleable. Another example would be someone's mind. Okay, if you know someone that changes their mind very easily or doesn't make up their mind, they're malleable. They have the capacity of having their mind changed easily. So that's the word malleable. Again, vocab quiz will be on Friday, and make sure you get all your words and definitions and examples down from the video.